And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics. And now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we have got a magnificent, fantastic, superb show for you today. You know what? I just thought I'd change the adjectives and superlatives here today because you know what? It's just trying to say something different. I can tell you that on today's show, we're going to be talking about what's in the news, new legislation, the IRS loses, and of course, we'll be continuing our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Today's story is the Abe Lincoln story. Yeah, you're going to want to hear it. There's a little bit of a twist, so you're going to want to hear what it's got all about it. And then we're going to have Jon Matthews. Jon and I are going to be talking about the conservative politics. We're going to be talking about the Affordable Care Act, or Obamacare. Most people know it as that. And then after that, we're going to be talking to David Garrett on the law. We've got a lot of things that are going to be going on with that as well. So we've got an interesting, exciting show for you. I want you to know that at 3:02 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 75 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's down from 81 degrees on its way to 52 degrees. So you know what? We've got a lot of stuff that's going to be going on here on the show today. Well, you know what? Let's talk about the news. Trump tours a private school in Florida, and he's promoting choice. So you want to make sure that we're dealing with that. You know what? Here's the thing. President Donald Trump toured a private religious school in Florida today, praising it as an ideal institution for disadvantaged children while re-emphasizing that his education agenda will focus on school choice. Trump visited St. Andrew Catholic School in Orlando, dropping in on a fourth grade classroom and shaking hands with students who said that they were learning about the history of Florida. When one girl said that she wanted to own her own business, he said with a smile that she's going to make a lot of money, but don't run for politics. That makes sense. The president, who is joined by Education Secretary Betsy DeVos, a longtime charter schools advocate, described St. Andrews as one of the many parochial schools dedicated to educating some of our nation's most disadvantaged children. Education is the civil rights issue of our time, said Trump's repeating a line from his address to Congress this week. Teachers' unions were quick to criticize the visit, saying it showed hostility by Trump toward public schools and an intention to turn education into a profit-making industry. Trump said that he would ask lawmakers to press a bill that would fund school choice for disadvantaged young children or people, including minority children. He did not offer any details. Among his guests were Governor Rick Scott, Senator Marco Rubio, and Denisha Merriweather, who used Florida's school voucher program to attend a private school, or high school that is, that she credits with turning her life around. Many of St. Andrew's students attend the school using the same voucher program as Merriweather, said White House spokesman Nino Fatalvo. You know what? We keep hearing about more and more White House spokesmen. This is one I never even heard of, you know. We want millions more to have the same chance to achieve the great success that you're achieving, Trump said. The president also told Latrina Peters Gibson, the school principal, that love you have for what you do is really fantastic. Well, you know what? Despite being at the school, Trump also noted anew that he captured Florida in last year's election. After the visit, he flew to his coastal home in Palm Beach and was attending a Republican National Convention fundraiser later on Friday. Well, there's no doubt that he's going to turn business into business. This guy doesn't, you know what? Say what you want to say about him, but he's a workaholic. This guy works his butt off, whether you like what he's doing or you don't. He's a worker. Well, you know what? Next in line to lead the Russia probe, Rosenstein has respect. You know, some Democrats worry the appointment of Jeff Sessions, subordinate to oversee an investigation into Russian interference in the 2016 election, won't be a clean enough break from the embattled Attorney General. But the veteran prosecutor in line for the job may be uniquely politically palatable. Rod Rosenstein, who faces his confirmation hearing next week for the role of Deputy Attorney General, was appointed top federal prosecutor in Maryland by George W. Bush and remained in the post for the entire Obama administration. That's staying power extraordinary for a position that routinely turns over with changes in the White House, lends weight to the reputation that he's cultivated as a political law enforcement official. He is so well respected, he cannot be influenced, he cannot be bought, he cannot be pressured because of outside political forces, said Baltimore criminal defense attorney Stephen Silverman, who has known Rosenstein for years. Well, you know what? Let's just hope that that's true. We need to get past some of this stuff, don't you think? Well, you know what? Trump's hitting back, accuses Schumer of Putin ties. Can you believe it? President Donald Trump, Jesus, his administration under siege for contacts with Russian officials is calling for an immediate investigation into Senate majority or minority leader Charles Schumer's own ties to Russian President Vladimir Putin. Trump's evidence? A 14-year-old photo of Schumer and Putin holding coffee and donuts in a New York City gas station. The president on Friday tweeted a photo of the two men calling for a probe into Schumer's ties to Russia and Putin and called the New York senator a total hypocrite. Trump did not say where the photo came from, but Schumer quickly pointed out that it was taken in 2003 when Putin ventured to New York to celebrate the opening of a Russian-owned Lukoil gas station on Manhattan's west side. You know what? This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And not just that Trump is doing this to Schumer. It's both sides doing it to each other. And both of them hold about the same weight. This is a ridiculous thing. How about we just get back to the business of running our government, for Pete's sake, instead of ruining it? That might be a better way to handle this, don't you think? I think so. You know, a man charged with threatening Jewish sinners to frame his ex. Here's the deal. A former journalist fired for fabricating details and stories made at least 8 of the scores of threats against Jewish institutions nationwide, including a bomb threat to New York's Anti-Defamation League, is part of a bizarre campaign to harass and frame his ex-girlfriend, federal officials said just today. Juan Thompson, 31 years old, was arrested in St. Louis and appeared there in federal court today on a cyber stalking charge. He politely answered questions and told the judge that he had enough money to hire a lawyer. A crowd of supporters who attended would say only that Thompson had no criminal record. His lawyer didn't comment. Federal officials have been investigating 122 bomb threats called in to Jewish organizations in 36 states since January the 9th, as well as rash of vandalism at Jewish cemeteries. You know what? Thompson started making his own threats on January the 28th, the criminal complaint said, with an email to the Jewish History Museum in New York City, written from an account that made it appear as if it was being sent by an ex-girlfriend. You know what? This crap has got to stop. That's all I got to say. You know what? We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about Pence fought against releasing records as the Indiana governor. Well, we'll talk about that when we return from these brief messages. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:12 p.m. Pacific time. It's still 75 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's on its way down to 52 degrees. And a little bit later, we'll give you some of the weather that's going on our globally syndicated network in different cities that people are listening to us live. But right now, let's continue with the news. Pence fought against releasing records as the Indiana governor. Here's the thing. Vice President Mike Pence repeatedly stonewalled media requests to view public records when he was Indiana's governor, including emails about state business distributed from a private AOL account that was hacked last year. Revelations Pence used the account to discuss Homeland Security and other official matters, first reported yesterday by the Indianapolis Star, are just the latest in a series of transparency battles involving the Republicans' tenure as governor. The Star obtained the AOL emails through an open records request after new Republican Governor Eric Holcomb agreed to release 29 pages from his predecessor's AOL account. The Associated Press filed a similar records request last July, seeking the emails, and followed up with a complaint against the governor's office in January when there was no response. Well, earlier this year, lawyers for Pence argued unsuccessfully in a civil case that Indiana courts had no authority to force him to comply with public records law. His administration also has repeatedly delayed or denied the release of records that could shed light on his tenure as governor. Pence's efforts stand in a stark contrast to the image that he had previously sought to cultivate, presenting himself as a champion of a free press and the First Amendment. You know what? Doesn't he was bombasting Hillary Clinton for this exact same thing. And now he's the guy that's doing it? Just sounds a little awkward, doesn't it? Sure it does. Well, you know what? Lawyers try to delay an all-American Argentine's deportation. Before she was arrested following an immigration protest, Daniela Vargas dreamed of earning her college degree in Mississippi, then becoming a math professor and soccer mom, driving 3 kids around in an SUV. Now, the 22-year-old friends described as all-American girl may be deported without a hearing to Argentina, a country that she hasn't seen since she was, get this, 7 years old, when her parents fled a collapsing economy and violated a visa waiver program to find work in the United States. Her attorneys said that they filed a motion today with the Department of Homeland Security to allow Vargas, now detained in Louisiana, to remain in the United States until they can make her case before a judge. Meanwhile, her friends canvassed the state capitol building, leaving notes seeking help from lawmakers. For now, Vargas is being processed as a visa waiver overstay, which could deny her a hearing and put her on a plane to South America. She said that she was in a cell with other girls. She hasn't even taken a shower yet because she's scared to. Her friend Jordan Sanders said that she has no clue what's going on. Well, you know what? I'm not sure how I feel about this. 7 years old. Yeah, I think I do know how I feel about this. I think it's wrong. However you got here at 7 years old, you didn't know what the heck the circumstances were. I think we need, if nothing else, to have some compassion and let her attorney make a case. Well, thousands flee Iraq's Mosul overnight as fighting rages on. Thousands of civilians fled Mosul overnight as Iraqi forces advanced north of sprawling military base near the city's airport today. Iraqi special forces pushed into the Wadi Hajar district in western Mosul and retook the area from the Islamic State group today, according to Brigadier General Yanya Rasul, spokesman of the Joint Military Operations. Special Forces Brigadier General Haider al-Obeidi said that the clearing operations were ongoing in an area, and his forces were close to linking up with the militarized federal police forces who were pushing up along the western bank of the Tigris River. Iraqi forces, including Special Operations Forces and federal police units, launched an attack on the western part of Mosul near 2 weeks ago to dislodge the IS. Since the offensive began, more than 28,000 people have been displaced by the fighting, according to the United Nations. Wow. Can you imagine? And the fight goes on. The ridiculousness goes on. The hurt goes on. The inhuman activity goes on. Well, Silicon Valley High School makes $24 million from the Snap IPO. Boy, I'll tell you, bake sales and car washes, not for one Silicon Valley parochial high school. What happened here? There we go. That hit it big this week, and by doing so, highlighted a new gaping economic disparities in the region. St. Francis High School in Mountain View parlayed a $15,000 investment into a windfall of at least, get this, $24 million, capitalizing on a unique venture capital fund set up by the school's investment-savvy parents. The fund paid off when the company began selling shares to the public on Thursday, and the school sold about 1.4 million of the 2.1 million shares at $17 each. It's holding the remaining 700,000 shares, which were valued at about $19 million today. Silicon Valley is a pretty amazing place to live, school president Simon Chiu said. This obviously couldn't have happened anywhere else. St. Francis High School launched the fund in 1990 at the urging of two of the many venture capitalists with children attending the school. The fund's aim is to tag along with deep-pocketed investors when they make big bets on startup companies. The school takes a small sliver of a venture capitalist's bigger investment in a startup company. Chu and other educators say that they know of no other school with a similar fundraising scheme. We don't have the bandwidth to follow the stock market, said Amika Gulum, principal of the East Palo Alto Academy, which is in one of the poorest cities in Northern California. It's tough enough to keep kids on track to graduate. Few, if any, other schools have that sort of advantage, said Stephen Andrioli, a professor of business, accountancy, and information systems at the Villanova School of Business in Pennsylvania. The only way to do this is through a personal relationship, he said. The probability of success is quite low. Wow. Well, with that, we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS Loses. First case up, A farmer's profit motive makes losses deductible. And I'm going to tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Congratulations to that Valley High School.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:24 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 78 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Now it's on its way down to 44 degrees. This weather thing keeps changing. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in New York City, well, you know what? It is 37 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're in Chicago, Illinois, it's 32 degrees and it's also partly cloudy. So now you know what it's at there. there, and I want to thank you folks out there for listening to us. That's it's nice of you to be doing that. Well, let's talk about something that'll make you happy. The IRS loses. You know what? A farmer's profit motive makes his losses deductible. Sounds normal, right? But listen to this. Benny Mullins was a successful business owner who grew up on a farm and wanted to return to owning one. He bought a cattle farm and after semi-retiring, lived and worked on it. The farm incurred steady losses. The IRS said that these losses showed it was not being run for profit, but to shelter income that Mullins had still received from his business and disallowed his loss deductions. Well, Mullins went to court. This is what the judge said. Mullins worked 50 hours a week on the farm, moved to a primitive home location on it to be there to work, consulted with experts, and repeatedly changed farming strategies to improve profitability. All this indicated that he did have a profit motive, so his losses were absolutely deductible. Shame on the IRS. They just keep trying to do this stuff, right? Here's one for you. The IRS loses. President in name only is not liable for companies' unpaid taxes. Here's the deal. Ellen Marino was the president of a lending company founded by her son, but the business was run by her live-in companion who was ineligible under state law to be an officer of the company because of his past credit problems. Any tasks that Ellen performed for the company, she did under his direction. Then the company fell behind on its payroll taxes. The IRS contacted her, and she informed her companion. Eventually, the IRS assessed $76,000 in personal liability against her for the unpaid taxes. So she went to court. This is what the judge said. Marino had no real authority over the company's finances, so she's not responsible nor liable for those taxes. You know, the IRS knew that. They just thought they'd get away with it. Somebody just roll over, right? How about this? The IRS loses. They can't seize winnings. One player wins for another. Well, get this. Robert Whitlatch devised a system for winning video lottery jackpots that it required playing the same machine for many, many hours. So he hired Paul Kovach to play a machine for him and gave Kovach all the funds to be wagered. When Kovach hit a jackpot, Whitlatch claimed it. But both the casino and IRS said that it was payable to Kovach, the actual player. The IRS then tried to take the entire jackpot to settle Kovach's back tax debts. Well, he went to court. This is what the judge said. Neither the state gaming law nor the casino's published rules barred one person from playing for another. So the winnings are Whitlatch's, who also collects interest from the IRS for his delay in collecting them, and the attorney fees are reimbursed to him as well. Well, you know what? Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? You ever want to be a fly on the wall when the IRS is doing stuff? You hear me talk about this every day. That's kind of where we're at with this segment we call Inside the IRS, very much like the Twilight Zone. Yeah, well, you know what? These are not tax court cases, but these are things that you need to know. This positions the IRS has taken. You know, information is the most valuable commodity you have, and so if you know what they're doing or the positions they're taking, it's going to help you when making some decisions. Right up the top here, what do you do if the IRS sends you a check to which you're not entitled? Cash it? I don't think so. You know, based on the most recent study conducted by the Treasury Inspector General for Tax Administration, we call that TICTA, the IRS issues millions of dollars of incorrect refunds checks every single year. Now, many times, the IRS is going to credit one person's account with someone else's money or issue a duplicate refund to the same person. Do not keep the money if the IRS mistakenly sends you a check or electronically sends money to your account. Eventually, the IRS is going to realize that it has made an error and ask for that money back with interest. Your best approach? If you receive money from the IRS and suspect that it was sent by mistake, or you don't understand why the IRS gave it to you, send it back with a letter requesting that the IRS confirm that the payment's accurate. If the IRS sends a new check with an explanation, you can then cash that check unless you absolutely know that the IRS still has not corrected a mistake. You don't want to be on the back end of one of these things. Trust me. How about this? If it sounds too good to be true, you've heard that phrase before, right? Well, you know what? Promoters of tax schemes continue to make compelling arguments to gullible individuals that income that they earn is not subject to U.S. income tax based on Internal Revenue Code Section 861. Well, under the promoter's theory of this section of the code, U.S. citizens are subject to income tax only from foreign-based activities. Now, this position has been shown to be without merit, false, and a misapplication of the law and the regulations. We all remember fallen star actor Wesley Snipes. He's been indicted and convicted of tax evasion because he submitted amended tax returns claiming refunds of millions of dollars based on the Section 861 argument. The indictment also alleges that Snipes did not listen to his tax advisor, who advised against participating in the scheme. Snipes, who was arrested on December 11, 2006, pleaded not guilty, was released on $1 million bond, and returned to Namibia, where he was filming a movie. When he got back from Namibia, he went to court. He was found guilty and served time in one of those federal resorts. Don't make that mistake. If it sounds too good to be true, you know what? It's probably because it is too good to be true. Now, we're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll be talking to Jon Matthews in the Conservative Syndicate. So don't go away. We'll be right back after these brief messages.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the basement of his strategic planning room located at his political hideaway in Los Angeles County, the dedicated man who stands and serves the political conscience of our nation, Mr. Jon Matthews.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:35 p.m. Pacific time, currently 78 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Paris, France, it's 54 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're in Rome, Italy, it's 52 degrees and it's clear. Well, we're waiting for our good buddy Jon Matthews with his conservative syndicate. We do our simulcast on Mondays and Fridays. He'll be calling in here any second. We're going to be talking about the Affordable Care Act, I think, today, or Obamacare. Same thing. They just named it something different. Jon will be calling in here, and here he is right now, Jon Matthews. Hey, Jon, how you doing, buddy?
He's simulcasting right now. You there, Bob?
Yeah, I'm here.
How you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you doing?
I'm doing most excellent. Just recovering from yesterday. We got throttled yesterday like crazy.
Yeah, what happened?
Oh, our bandwidth dropped down to like 2 meg, and it just knocked everybody off the line, and we weren't able to. By the time I got it all fixed, 25 minutes had gone by, and I'm like, oh man, that's not something you can fix in post, you know.
Well, you know what, things like that, because I'm not as technically savvy as you are. I generally right away just shut everything down and throw in an archive show and try to figure it out later. I wouldn't begin to know how to get the bandwidth back up.
Well, we did. We were able to do it, but by the time I got it all done, it was just way out of whack here. But that's what I ended up doing. I had to throw an archive on here and then get offline and try to figure out what's going on. So it's just I don't know what happened. It's a throttling. It's definitely throttling. It came from the internet service provider, which I was on the phone with them for quite a while yesterday, bitching.
Well, do you have the same one I have, right? Frontier?
No, I use Charter. I had Frontier, but it used to be Fios, and when they changed to Frontier, I cut them loose. I just wasn't happy with what they did to our service over here once they took over. But it is what it is. So I got to work something out here. They can't give me more than 6 meg upload on this thing, and this is not going to work.
Oh
so.
Man, you got it. Yeah, you can't have that. You can't broadcast, especially at the time of day that you're broadcasting. You've got too many people trying to use the computer that get in your way.
Oh, well, yeah, especially if I get more than 2 callers on, it's just, it's not going to work. So we're working something out. I mean, I'm revamping the whole family here. We're like, I'm going to change my phone service so I can get cheaper phone and use that money to probably go back to Frontier and just get their internet. They got some good stuff over there. So anyway, that's where we're.
Hey,
so.
I'll tell you what, I have a guy that's on my show. His name is Dr. Wireless, is Joel Saltzman. I'll send you his information. He's an expert at this stuff. And he makes his money from the different companies, and he represents everybody, and he's got the best deals sitting out there. It's just unbelievable deals. Before you do that, you might want to give him a call. I'll send you his information.
Oh yeah, that sounds good. Yeah. So I don't know where we start here.
Oh man, I got to tell you what. You told me we were going to talk about how do we fund the Affordable Care Act, or how do we fund the repeal and replacement of the Affordable Care Act. And gosh, Jon, that could take hours to actually talk about, and I'm not even sure that people are going to like the answer to that. And there is so much going on today with regard to the Affordable Care Act. Not only just today, but I sent you an email earlier about the bad news that was going on with the Affordable Care Act, and the fact that the scams are hot and heavy, and that 92% of the scams against the Affordable Care Act are taking place in California, New York, and guess where? Vermont, our Bernie Sanders state.
Geez, why does that not surprise me?
So there's just so much collusion and stuff going on. But if you want to talk about it from an accounting standpoint, just a money standpoint, I think that's really what you wanted to do. It's very, very intricate when you start thinking about Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid. Now, Medicaid is the state arm of the almost indigent insurance system or care system, and each state sets up their own. But the state generally only pays half the bill, and the federal government pays the other half of that bill for each state. But the part that the feds take, they're taking that right out of your paycheck, and it's part of the Medicare program that's going to pay for that Medicaid that they supply the states with. Now, you and I both agree that the states need to be in control of the insurance. The problem is there has to be a mandate. If there isn't, no program is going to be fiscally responsible. And what I've read so far, when they talk about the vouchers, they're not going to work simply because they're not going to be enough to get any kind of decent coverage for anybody, because they're going to make exceptions for young, healthy people as opposed to the old people that actually use it. So the young people aren't going to get they're not going to get enough to get a good comprehensive policy unless they get hit by a car or something. And the old people are taking so much medication that their $4,000 voucher isn't going to get them the insurance to do anything with. And so that's not going to work. And what has to happen is they have to spread that out almost and make it mandatory, even though it's done by the state, so that they can level the playing field. They need to get rid of the restriction of competition between states and insurance companies. I mean, it's ridiculous. If you have State Farm or Mercury Insurance or any of those insurances, you can buy car insurance in any state you want from those companies. But medical insurance, some of them, you only have one choice, and that's where the problem is. We don't have competition, and then we need to have tort reform to keep the legal costs of medical care down. Then you can start doing some of these things. But the biggest problem is if they use tax credits, and that's why I sent you that thing today, those are being abused. People that haven't even filed tax returns are getting refundable tax credits, and they're not buying any kind of insurance or anything with that. And so it's got to be policed better. The problem that we have is we seem to go off half-cocked with any program we do, whether it be Obamacare or whatever the Republicans are now trying to put into place. They're all going to be fixes. We seem to forget the policing of these things so that it's not taken advantage. The one thing I'm completely sure of, and then I'll shut up because I know I've got enough there for you to hammer me with. The one thing that I'm completely positive of is if you don't make it mandatory, people are not going to do it. You're going to make it their choice, and they're going to continue to use the emergency rooms free of charge, not pay that bill. You and I will be paying that bill, and all this extra money, the vouchers and the block payments and those things will be going to them, and they're going to be using it for booze and drugs and God only knows what. Okay, that's it in a nutshell. I could go on for hours and hours with this.
Well, I have to say right off the top here, I agree with you 100%.
That's no fun.
Well, but it goes beyond that. Okay, putting this into the big picture. Okay, first of all, we have to understand Medicaid is the model that the Democrats want to use to eventually bring us into single payer system. Yeah. And this is what Bernie Sanders touted during his campaign. Medicaid is the answer. Okay. Now that does require that people pay into that system. Now, but again, when you start talking about the poverty level and everything else, these people are not going to be required to pay anything. So it still has to be subsidized. Now, you take that and you put that in the concept of the state exchanges. Look at Medicaid as the state exchanges. Mm-hmm. And now you're sitting there and you say, okay, now what do we have to do? We have to pay for that. We're still going to have to subsidize that. And the Republicans' answer in the replace is what? Block grants. We're going to give block grants to the states to be able to manage this. All right. So I don't know how much more that is than the 50% that they contribute towards the Medicaid. If it's more, if it's less, I'm not really sure. But here's the bigger problem. At the same time, you're giving tax credits. And as you said, we now know through this audit that that's been abused. But even so, tax credits reduce the amount of income tax that somebody who does not disobey the law and does file taxes, that's going to be less money paid into the system, less money that can be used.
You hit the nail right on the head, Joe. You're absolutely right, John. That's the problem with this thing.
Even if we tear down the borders, even if we allow international competition for pharmaceuticals, And even if we say, okay, the states are going to control everything, you still, in my book, taxpayers are going to have to pay more, because I tell you this, if the Trump wants to keep the existing conditions, okay, we want to keep that. Insurance companies, I explained this Wednesday on a show. Mm-hmm. People don't understand that insurance is based on risk. And the risk is covered by those who pay for it and don't need it, and used by those who do need it.
Precisely.
And that's been the big problem with Obamacare. The young people don't want to pay for it. But even so, if the insurance companies come out and they say, okay, we still have to maintain pre-existing conditions, then there has to be an increase in premiums for those people, or it has to be offset through subsidies, which means an increase in taxes. Right. Either way, the taxpayer ends up paying 2 to 3 more areas of taxes. Now, don't tell me you're going to cut a person's taxes and then turn around and take it for Medicaid and call it something else.
You know what? Yeah. And John, you are so absolutely right, because, part of, you can't increase spending, and there's a lot of spending that's going to get increased here. You can't increase spending all over the United States budget, including, Medicare, Medicaid, and Social Security, and not increase taxes. It's just not possible. And he wants to give a tax break to middle income and higher income people, and businesses, and that sounds really great. But you know what? That means there's less money going into the federal government, and less money going into the state as well, because they have what they call subventions, and these subventions go, and not equally, by the way. What California pays into the federal government comes back as just a percentage of what goes on there. That's the subvention that is sent out, so that the state does their own mandated stuff. The truth is, you've got to be praying that the economy goes through the ceiling, which is not likely unless you get somewhere around, if we could only get 3.5% inflation or 3.5% growth, that would be phenomenal. You have to maintain that to have a healthy economy and try and get your deficit down. But if you want to do it the way they're talking about doing it now, you got to have 5.5%. That's just, I just don't see that happening.
Yeah, that's my problem. I'll say this, and we'll go to our break here. My solution is this: break down the borders, allow international competition with the pharmaceuticals, quit taking the money, and turn around and let people buy their own insurance. That's how you do it. You put more money in the consumer's pocket to go out and buy the insurance. They can now afford to buy their own plan. And if the insurance companies want to subsidize by determining, based on a mortality rate or whatever it is for an age group, and say, okay, this is how much we're going to charge, but we're going to jump it up just a little bit to cover people that have to have it, pre-existing conditions or whatever, you can offset it that way. But the way I see it is that they're actually going to be taxing in 3 to 4 different ways and not calling it taxes. It's going to be a backdoor kind of thing. And everybody's just going to think, oh, yeah, it's okay. But no way in the world would we be able to now go back out and get the plan that we had originally and pay the same amount of money.
Absolutely. I know we got to take a break, so I'll save what I want to say with the HSAs, and that's for when we come back.
Okay. All right.
We're taking a break. We'll be back with Jon Matthews after these brief messages. Do not go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live, and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses: website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios Incorporated.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 3:50 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 78 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in London, England, it's 48 degrees and mostly cloudy. And if you're listening to us in Vienna, Austria, it's 46 degrees and it is clear. You know what? Jon Matthews will be calling us in a minute, recontacting us for our simulcast. And we've been talking about the Affordable Care Act, and there's a lot of stuff going on there, and we're going to continue to do that. Right now, I want to encourage you to get our app. It's absolutely free. Go to your app store, search Robert Cardoza Live. It's there. It's free. Download it. You can listen to our show 24/7. You can listen to all of our archives. Here's John right now. We're back with Jon Matthews. Hey, John.
Okay, there we are. Hey, Bob.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, you had a comment. You had a response to what we were talking about regarding the Obamacare situation.
Yeah, you know, one of the things that they want to do as well here, John, is that they want to reestablish HSAs. Those are the health savings accounts, and get people to put money in there on a pre-tax basis, so that people can use that money as though it was the non-tax money, and they're going to take the limits off of that. The problem with that is people, when it was available, weren't using it, and that's what they would buy. That's what they would use to buy their insurance with, buy their prescriptions, pay the premiums and medical premiums. They could actually get Band-Aids and stuff like that way, and aspirin that way too. But people weren't utilizing it because the government never explained the proper way of using HSAs. And if they make that voluntary, people are never going to do it. And the problem that comes down to is with the economy we have, whether you want to, if you believe the liberals that say that the economy is doing terrific, that's one thing. If you believe the Republicans that believe that, and it's true that we're struggling still, most people, and you can see that happening. And if you believe either side of these things, what's going to happen is people are still living paycheck to paycheck. And if they've got a choice of whether to put money into a health savings account to pay for insurance premiums or to put that money to put groceries in the refrigerator, they're going to put the groceries in the refrigerator.
Yeah, and so what happens is, to me, it's just a repackaged deal as far as Obamacare. Now, the things that Donald Trump was proposing the other night, and I've been going over Paul Ryan's plan. That's really what Donald Trump floated out there the other night, was Paul Ryan's plan about block grants, interstate commerce, competition of pharmaceuticals. Those are all good things. The only thing that they keep screwing up is thinking that the government can operate this.
Yeah.
And it's just because of the fact, I mean, how many times does the government have to screw something up before people realize they don't know how to do anything?
John, we got a government where the leaders that we actually elect to represent us, protect us, and keep us secure, we can't even get them to talk to each other, for God's sakes.
Yeah, well, again, it doesn't surprise me, given the fact that we as an electorate, and I'll include myself in this group because we're Americans, whether we like it or not, whether I like the fact that others are Americans or not. The fact is that we keep putting these people in office, and then so we come right back to the same narrative, is that unless something changes in that aspect, we're just going to, everything is just going to be repackaged. And what's going to happen is you're going to see Trump try and do what he can do, and he's going to finally just wear down, and he'll turn out just like the rest of them. But this whole idea that it's the government's responsibility. See, this is where my big beef is, that everybody has come to believe the narrative that something like healthcare is a right. It's not a right. You know, you have the right to life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness, but you don't have the right to somebody else making sure that you have your rights fulfilled. It's not entitlement. That's what's happened. We've gone from opportunity to entitlement. You're entitled. That's what they should be saying. Everybody's entitled to health care. No, we're not, because health care is a private enterprise. And therefore, and it should be kept a private enterprise because that's what we are. We're an economy that runs on private enterprise. The idea that the government injects itself, and the idea of saying, okay, well, instead of calling it Medicaid, we'll call it block grants. Instead of calling it,
John, you're right. It's a matter of semantics. They really do believe if they change the name, that it's going to be something else. I mean, the truth is, if it looks, walks, and talks like a duck, it's probably a duck, right?
Yeah. So, you look at it and you just say that's what, as a conservative, one thing I've trained my mind on is listen to what's being said and to discern what you really mean. And I call it liberal doublespeak. When you hear things about, well, everybody should have health insurance. Well, maybe everybody should. Okay.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that everybody else should be responsible for it.
But would you agree with this premise? First of all, I know that you and I agree that this should be a state issue and not a federal issue. But would you?
I think the government under the Constitution, the state commerce, they have the ability to lower the borders. That's the only involvement by the federal government that's constitutional. They can take the borders down and say, we're going to allow interstate commerce. Okay.
But John, would you agree that this is a moot point if they would get rid of the barriers of competition for insurance companies and do some tort reform so that physicians don't have to pay $250,000 a year for malpractice insurance and lower the ceilings on these wrongful lawsuits? Because this is all making attorneys rich and is keeping the general public from being able to afford quality health care. If they did that, wouldn't you agree that the cost of health care would actually come down?
Oh, sure. And but like I said, once you remove the borders and you allow international competition, pharmaceuticals, the free market takes over. We know how the free market works.
Yeah.
Now everything is in the hands of the state. Everybody has to register with a state insurance commissioner. We run the show through there. You want to do something with surcharges and funding the poor and doing all this stuff, you put it on the ballot and you let the respective citizens decide one way or the other.
Yeah.
But the idea that the government mandating this stuff sucks, and it's not going to work. Never going to work. Never has, never will.
Yeah. So remind me about a free country again. The freedoms. Remind me again what a free country is.
Free country is. Freedom isn't free. That's the difference. Okay, we're out of time, Bob.
Hey,
I got to let you go here. You got about 30 seconds. Plug your show.
Okay, listen, I'm on every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Robert Cardoza Live. Get my app. Search your app store. Search for Robert Cardoza Live. It's right there. It's absolutely free, and you'll be able to listen to me 24/7 in all of my archives. Hey, John, terrific show. I look forward to talking to you on Monday.
All right, we'll talk to you later, my friend.
All righty. And when we come back, we'll be talking to David Garrett on the law. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, It may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you from the bowels of the Hall of Justice, our own legal guru, David Garrett, attorney at law.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:01 p.m. Pacific time, currently 78 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 85 degrees, and it's on its way down to 49 degrees. If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Madrid, Spain, it's 41 degrees and partly cloudy. And if you're in Tokyo, Japan, well, it's 46 degrees and partly cloudy. I want to thank you folks for listening to our show. But right now, we've got our own David Garrett on the law. Hey, David, you sitting out there?
Yeah, how you doing, Bob?
I'm doing great. You know, I'm sorry for the foul up when you tried to call in earlier. I ran over on the last block and I couldn't get a free line open, so I apologize to you.
Oh, not at all.
So listen, there's a lot going on in the world today. What do you think is going to go on with Sessions? I mean, is this just a lot of BS? Don't we have more important things to deal with in this world than all the politics that are going on between Republicans and Democrats and independents?
Oh, you'd think so.
You know, they really can't make Sessions do anything other than what he's already done, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I don't quite understand the whole thing. Basically, what they're saying is that sometime before the election took place, he communicated with the Russian diplomat. Is that kind of what the idea is?
Well, yeah, but isn't that what senators do? Matter of fact, the way I understand it, he was at a function. It was a public function, and there were all kinds of senators there, and there were all kinds of diplomats there, and they go there for the opportunity of maybe getting the ear of a senator. And it could have been just so much as hi, I'm Vladistok Bull be a pucky guy, and I'm glad to meet you, Senator Sessions, and I hope that one day we can do something progressive for each of our countries. It may have just been something as simple as that. Nobody has got they're just going off the deep end here.
Yeah. I'm really at a loss on this one, to be honest with you.
I am just getting so fed up, for the lack of a better term, just fed up with politics. And we've got a group of people, 535 people up in Congress. We have a full executive branch of government that we can't seem to get people approved for. We've got a judicial side that we're short one guy. Why don't we have more important things to do? Get our government running again? Don't they have more important things to talk about?
You would think so. On this whole Russian thing, let me kind of throw a thought back at you and just see what your comments are on this. the way I kind of understand the gist of all this is that people are thinking the Russians influenced our election by, last I heard, hacking the DNC computers and distributing some email. Is that kind of the gist of it? Or
yeah, you know what? And that they're the ones that got the information against Hillary to make her look bad, so that people thought twice about it and went to the polls. But the truth is, what they released was not false information. It was true. The emails were true. And my guess is that it wasn't that they didn't try to hack into the RNC, they just weren't able to get in, and it was a fluke that got them into the DNC, and so it wasn't an untruth that cost her the election. It was the truth that cost her the election, because the Russians and nobody else had the ability to go in and alter the voting machines. Each voting district, each voting area had a whole different system. There is no way to hack that system. That, the election is exactly what it is. Donald Trump's upset because he didn't get the majority of the popular vote, but he's the president. There's no question about it. And Hillary Clinton's upset because she didn't beat the pompous son of a gun. And but she's just as pompous, and she's just as bad. Matter of fact, worse, I think, that's out there. I worry now. I'm worried about the direction it's going in, David, because let's just say, just say it, it shouldn't happen, but let's just say that Trump got fed up and just resigned. Forget about impeachment. He just resigned. The next guy in there is Pence. Pence, I don't think is. I would never vote for Pence. I did vote for Trump, but I would never vote for Pence if it weren't for Trump. And here's the other thing: if they find out, and now he's supposedly guilty of having a private email system, they're starting this controversy with him. They're saying that he might have known about all this Russian activity. So let's say that he gets impeached. You know who we get? Paul Ryan, the Speaker of the House. When does this end?
Boy, I don't know. The thing where I'm having some real difficulty understanding this is, I remember back in the Cold War dating myself now, but didn't we used to fly over Russia and drop pamphlets and then have something called Radio Free? I can't remember the name of it.
Radio Free Europe, and we also had the U-2s flying over taking pictures.
Yeah, and we're sitting there directing all this. Could say we could put ourselves in the position of the Russian government and say, well, those pamphlets and those directional antennas beaming stuff over here were attempts to influence, Russian government.
And but you know what, David? I must be a bad guy, because you and I think, see eye to eye here. And I must be a bad guy because when I made the comment that, what, are you kidding me? They didn't do anything to us that we're not currently doing to them. We just haven't got caught yet, and so all of a sudden, am I a traitor? I don't think so, but I think I'm a realist. Do you really believe that when the NSA, we had this big hullabaloo about we were actually tapping the phones of Angela Merkel and the heads of all these different countries? We were doing that and didn't tell any of our allies that we were doing it, even to our allies. And, do you really believe we're not doing the same stuff?
It's just mind-boggling, and then the other thing comes to mind is, okay, let's say some of these people were meeting with the Russian diplomats. How is that any different than all these special interest group and lobbyists going in and meeting with everybody every day?
Yeah, exactly. And by the way, isn't that the definition of being a diplomat? Isn't that the definition of being a representative of the country? That you go in and you try and gain advantage for your own country. You try to build some kind of a relationship. Isn't that what you're supposed to do?
You'd think. I mean, that I don't know. I guess I just listen to this stuff, and after a while, I've just kind of started tuning it out because it just seems like so much nonsense. I just really don't quite understand the whole thing.
Well, you know what I hate? I hate this childish, infantile nitpicking that's going on. You know, we have these guys wasting, you know, if you think about this, every member of Congress, including the Senate, makes upwards of $250,000 a year when you start thinking about their per diems and everything else. They get $172,800, $178,200 a year as salary, plus they get per diems, plus they get staff, plus they get travel costs, plus they get these junket, they get paid extra for the junkets. They're scheduled to work 110 days for Pete's sake this year, and make that kind of money. And they're wasting their time on this BS. They're not doing the things that are necessary.
Yeah, I don't understand why it's happening, to be honest with you. I really, I mean, I can't see from how anybody's benefiting out of this mess.
Exactly. You know, right now the Democrats and the Republicans are fighting over control of the country. You know what? Doesn't really make any difference, because regardless of who's in control, there's nobody in control. You know, we've got a Republican administration. We've got a Republican controlled Congress. We've got a leaning Republican judicial arm of the government, and we still can't get a doggone thing done.
No, but we can talk about who visited with who for a while.
Yeah.
Probably been doing that for a year.
I mean, this is just god-awful ridiculous. Let's have an investigation. Let's spend millions of dollars at the same time that we've got homeless and we've got people that are starving to death in our country. We've got kids that can't get an education. We've got, we got all these problems going on. We've got an infrastructure that's falling apart. We've got people without insurance because even with Obamacare, these people are electing not to get it because they can't afford it. They either have to pay for some subsidized insurance, or they got to pay for food in the refrigerator. What the heck do you think they're going to choose?
Oh yeah, you bet. Yeah.
So this is this is crazy stuff.
I got into a discussion here. I regretted it fully after I did it. But
I get into a lot of those, David.
It was on this, and this goes back to, I guess, Philadelphia has a soda tax now. So their idea is they added, I think, 1.5 cents to every ounce of drink that has any sugar in it.
Well, isn't that the same thing that New York did at one time? Who was it? God, what the billionaire? I can't.
Yeah, that one was
Bloomberg.
Yeah,
when Bloomberg was mayor of New York, didn't he actually try to put a huge tax on 32-ounce sodas?
Yeah, that came up in this discussion. As long as you brought it up, I couldn't figure that one out. I mean, here we are. We're going to tax 32-ounce and above sodas, and and the last time I went into a restaurant. You're sitting there, you're drinking. If you've ordered a soda, the people come by and they want to refill it so much that by the time you're done, you're floating.
They give you a 12-ounce. They give you a 12-ounce glass and they fill it 5 times.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
I mean,
so you got
but if it was
ounces.
a 32-ounce glass that they filled like 4 times, or 3 times. There would be a tax on it. I mean, where's the idea of infinity here?
Yeah. Whatever happened to this concept that we live in a free country?
Yeah.
Well, if I want to drink a soda pop, it's legal, for God's sakes. Why can't I do that?
That's where this discussion went. I get in there and I'm talking to these guys about it, and I'm saying, hey, guys, don't you think rather than worrying about taxing soda pop, we ought to go around and Philadelphia has a infrastructure that's just falling apart all around us. So why aren't they focusing on these things instead of worrying about taxing soda pop? And then the down part was that they were losing hundreds of thousands of jobs in the soda industry, and there were people in soda in Philadelphia that were claiming they were going to have to do layoffs and all this other stuff. Where did government get into the position of telling us what to eat or drink as opposed to taking care of roads.
Whatever happened to the government taking care of infrastructure and security, which is constitutionally their job, and letting competition handle business? Government needs to get their hands out of business. Stop. That's one of the things that Trump is doing. He put that new executive order in. For every business regulation that is submitted to have to be taken off the books. That makes a lot of sense. Right now, we have so much restraint against businesses that it's ridiculous. How can you say you believe in free trade if you're going to tax the businesses that are trying to make money so that they can employ more people and make profits?
Yeah.
This makes no sense.
And in this discussion, there were a couple people on the other side saying, well, we got to solve child diabetes, and we got to solve obese kids. And I think those are laudable goals.
Sure.
But can you draw any correlation between taxing soda and the kids being less obese? I think all you're doing there is raising money for government to go piss away on them.
Exactly. No, that's okay. That's exactly right. All you're doing is putting more money into the government's coffers because they've already proven to us how prudently they can spend our money, haven't they?
Yeah. I just... you can tell me and the people we were having a discussion with, about 80% were where you and I were, and then the others were on the other side saying, we got to do something, and we trust government to tell us what to do. And I'm thinking, okay.
Are you kidding? You need to look them right in the eye and say, okay, you know what? It's unfortunately, and it's just part of life. About 80% of what you derive comes from 20% of the people. In this particular case, you're 20%. You're the 20% that is against everything. What are you actually doing to make life better for the citizens of this country? What are you actually doing other than to put restraints and handcuffs on everybody?
Yeah. And I even got this one comment out of somebody in there. It was, the theory was that by legislating or forcing people to behave in a certain way that we would do much better, and other countries would quit beating us all over the place. And this was in my response to, that we ought to have some basic freedoms, including the ability to decide what we eat.
Yeah.
So the theory being government can do this. And, didn't we try that? Wasn't it called communism?
Yes. And you know what? So you might want to go out and have a nice salad for lunch, but I want a hamburger, for Pete's sake, and I want it with cheese and grilled onions and tomatoes and lettuce and beef, lots of beef, and I have a right to eat whatever I want to put into this tabernacle that I call my body. I have a right to put it in there.
Yeah. And see, that's my feeling exactly. And I don't think government should be telling us what to eat. Now, I understand government having some standards on the food, like, hey, we're not going to have, food that's
unhealthy,
not been cleansed, or that has all the bug spray on it or whatever they're putting on them nowadays.
Yeah,
that's an appropriate place to regulate, but.
Yeah, I think we need to have standards. You're absolutely right. But, we are a progressive country, and we should be a progressive world, and we don't want people to eat things that are going to harm them because they have parasites or something on them. But on the other hand, there's things in other countries that people eat that are actually quite nutritious for them that you and I would, we would choke. Matter of fact, it would choke a billy goat in the United States, for God's sakes. We have a different kind of a culture, but that doesn't mean that it's not good for you. But the standards here ought to be, hey, you know what? You don't have to eat insecticides, and you don't have to eat GMO produced stuff if you don't want to. You know what?
Right.
If if because of genetically modified organisms, if that makes them more healthy, more plentiful, less expensive, keeps the bugs and things off them, then you can make a choice. You can either go to the section of the market where you can buy the food that does not have that stuff, or you can buy the other stuff. You pay a premium if you want the organic stuff, but it's up to you. But you get to make the choice.
Yeah, exactly. And the biggest struggle I had with this concept that we were having there was my response to this guy was, we can still have freedom, and government or people will work together with all the freedom. Government doesn't have to dictate the way we do. What about the old-fashioned idea that, hey, this is a good idea, and the populace as a whole just gets behind good ideas?
Absolutely. Let's hold that thought, David, because we're running a little late. We've got to go to a commercial break. We'll come back and continue this conversation.
Okay.
We're talking to our own David Garrett on the law, or on everything, I guess. We'll be right back talking to David after these brief messages. Don't go away.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. You know, the temperature seems to be stuck here. It's at 78 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. It's down from 85 degrees. It's on its way down to 49 degrees. But if you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Sydney, Australia, well, it's 75 degrees and it's mostly cloudy. And if you're in Auckland, New Zealand, it's 73 degrees and it's overcast. And I want to thank you folks for listening to us. Right now, we're talking to our own David Garrett on the law. Hey, David, you still sitting out there?
Yeah, you got me here.
Good. You know what? It just seems to me that you and I were raised in a world that made a lot more sense. There were a lot more freedoms. We weren't worried about walking around at night or daytime or anything else. You know, if you were in school, you might have gotten into a fight. All you wanted to do was win the fight. You didn't want to kill the guy. Most of the time, you wound up really good friends afterwards. There was always good competition to everything, including in business, and not everything was questioned, and we had freedoms to do anything we chose, whether it be on a commercial basis or a personal basis. I mean, certainly there were laws out there, but it seems that we have more laws today than ever before, and it just seems that this is not as friendly a world as I was raised in.
Oh, I would agree with that 100%. It's just different. I just don't understand it. You know what happened to the old concept of voluntary what's the word, cooperativeness between people.
Yeah.
I mean, if it's a good idea, get behind it. Everybody will do it.
Yeah.
If it isn't, yeah.
I'm okay with people that disagree with me. You know, just because we don't agree with everybody doesn't mean you got to pop them in the nose, right? It just, we just disagree. Let me tell you why I disagree with you, and if you still disagree with me, okay, I understand. Maybe you'll change my mind. But all this controversy, all this bitterness that's in the world today, I just don't see it. By the way, I meant to ask you, and I forgot, David. In the case, and not so much Jeff Sessions, but I guess that's the case too. They're trying to say that he's guilty of perjury. I don't know if he is or he isn't. He's a lawyer. He knows his way around that. But if someone were to be found guilty of perjury, do you go to jail? Is that a felony crime? Do you go to jail? Do you get fined? What happens if you're found guilty of perjury?
Well, it can be a felony. In my experience, they don't do a whole lot to anybody that gets found guilty of perjury.
So it's really just a slap on the hand kind of thing. And I got the impression from listening to the news this morning that in the case of Jeff Sessions, where semantics plays an awful lot into this, that it's very, very difficult to prove perjury.
Right, it is, and and I think, with the exception of some of these politically motivated prosecutions, it basically is kind of a slap on the hand if they even take the effort to prosecute it.
Is perjury the same? In tax law, to be found guilty of something, you need to have intent. I mean, you can make mistakes and get slapped on the wrist, but if you committed a fraud, but you had no intent to commit that fraud, which is also very difficult to prove, by the way, then you can't be found guilty of fraud. Is it the same with perjury, that you had no intent to commit perjury? It was kind of an accidental thing, and it was the semantics, the circumstances, is what derived that answer, and you would have answered it differently under different circumstances. You weren't trying to lie.
Well, yeah, that's kind of imposed. Let me give you a general definition of perjury. It's the offense of willfully telling an untruth after having taken an oath or affirmation. So you promise to tell the truth, and then you willfully, deliberately go out and just make something up, just tell a lie.
So going back to Jeff Sessions, even if he's a senator of the United States, he's supposed to have meetings. And when they asked him if part of the campaign he's having these conversations, the truth is that during the campaign he was still a United States senator. He was still doing the job of the people he represented, and he might have been saying, "No, I never met with a Russian for the campaign, but yeah, I did meet with Russians for other business for our country."
Right, and that would seem to preclude perjury.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that that's the case. I'm just making up a scenario there. Because I'm just tired of all these accusations going back and forth and all the stuff that's going on. It's just like a never-ending. These guys are yo-yo champs. The yo-yo never stops swinging.
Nobody can say anything without somebody arguing about it down there. They could probably say, "I went to the bathroom," and somebody would argue with them.
Yeah. Hey, I saw, was it you I had this conversation with or someone else, that there's a big issue going on now with regard to minor transgenders and these people that are not yet adults, and their parents are supporting them with transgender operations and procedures and things, and I forget where it's at, David, but somebody's trying to say that it's tantamount to child abuse because they're not adults making their own decisions. Have you heard anything about that?
I haven't heard anything about that, but I can see that being a very big issue. To be honest with you,
I'm trying to figure out how to frame this. If you're a minor, can't you just wait till you're 18 to make this decision on your own? Do you really need to do this before you're an adult? Could your life be that miserable? Could it be a real mistake to haphazardly make this decision and then down the road find out, God, I've made a horrible decision here? And if the parents are supporting that child and when I say child, depending on who you talk to, psychologically, you don't reach the age of reason until you're about 7 years old. But I've met adults that are in their 50s, 60s, and 70s that have yet to reach the age of reason. That I wouldn't want to have them make a decision either. But that's a lifetime sentence that we're talking about. I can understand not wanting anyone to make that decision for you, especially a parent, and you having to wait until you're an adult to make it on your own and then support them if that's what they're going to do.
I would go with that. And the other thought I have is it's probably a pretty nebulous line between supporting and influencing.
Yes. And you know what? And I think sometimes you can be guilty of influencing someone when that's not really what you want to do.
Yeah. And I'm not saying people are intentionally doing that.
Mm-hmm.
But I would think the prudent thing would wait till you're an adult before you go through all those operations and everything, if that's what you decide to do.
Yeah. 18, I suppose when I was 18, I thought I knew everything there was to know, right? And nobody could tell me anything. Of course, I learned later on in life that I was really wrong. The only reason I thought I knew everything there was to know is because I hadn't asked all the questions yet. But the truth is, at 18, you feel that way, and it's pretty hard for you to listen to somebody say you're wrong. You got to wait. You don't know what you're talking about yet, and it's really a difficult thing. And as a parent, I just have a real problem is not that I wouldn't be supportive of a decision that my child made, but I wouldn't want to have to make that decision, have it be the wrong decision, and have it be as a result of my influence.
Right. It is just a very slippery slope through there. I don't know where that's going to come out. I would hate to think that it would be criminalized as child abuse, because the parent may be well-intentioned and everything else, and I'm not walking in their shoes, so
yeah, that
would be a concern to me. But on the flip side, I'm not sure that there isn't a whole lot of parental influence that's involved in this entire equation.
Yeah, I think so too. I really do. I think adolescents don't really have enough exposure to the world to be able to make that decision.
Yeah.
And so they're going to be influenced by a parent who thinks they're doing the right thing, and they're way off the wall.
Yeah, you have that, and then you have the peer pressure that goes on during your teenage years.
Yeah.
You don't know if the individual's making it because that's really what they want to do, or if it's just a passing fancy and they've got everybody, quote, supporting, but the supporting may be actually influencing.
Yes. Yeah. Well, what a mess.
Yeah, I did run across one thing here for you I'll throw at you.
Okay. This
is a case argued in the Supreme Court, I think sometime last week or two. But it has to do with the access of sex offenders to social media. And that's something the Supreme Court's struggling with right now. And the way it came up is you had a kid that was 21 years old, got convicted of, in essence, what's called statutory rape, had sex with somebody that was underage.
Mm-hmm.
So he gets probation for a little bit, but has to register as a sex offender. And that state has a law that says if you're a sex offender, you can't get on social media.
Well, but you can if you can make them register and you can make them stay, I don't know how many feet away from children or facilities and things, it's not that big a leap to say that we don't want you on a social media.
Yeah, and what the court's struggling with right now is social media has become such an accepted and commonly used mode of communication that it's things like Twitter, their tweet or whatever, Twitter, whatever. They're saying you can't have that. You can't get on LinkedIn.
Unfortunately, we're running out of time, but this is a fascinating subject. Next Friday, I'm going to forget, so you need to remember. Okay, next Friday, let's really dig into this social media and these kind of restrictions. I think this would be a great conversation to have for the whole show.
Okay, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I'll definitely bring that up.
All right, hey, give yourself a plug.
Yeah, I'm with Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. The offices are in Rancho Cucamonga. The website's www.lawbbg.com, and our phone number is 909-945-5000.
David, can you believe how fast this half hour went?
No, we got through that. That surprised me.
Hey, listen, tomorrow looks like tomorrow's going to be a nice day. Sunday is supposed to rain. Are you going fishing tomorrow?
I'm thinking about it. I am really leaning that way. I haven't been out for a few days.
Pretty soon you're going to have to get a bigger freezer, buddy.
Oh, I know.
All right. Hey, you have a great weekend. Have a great week. We'll talk to you next Friday. In the meantime, stay happy, stay dry, and keep everybody around you glad that they are, will you?
I will, Bob, and you do the same.
All righty. Now, we're going to be taking a short break. When we come back, we're going to talk about the daily teachings for your life, interesting but useless facts, and the birthdays for today. We'll be right back. Don't go away.
If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchase high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:41 p.m. Pacific time. Currently, it's starting to go down 77 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. You know what? If you're listening to us on our globally syndicated network and you're in Lisbon, Portugal, it's 48 degrees and it's raining. And if you're in Wichita, Kansas, it's 64 degrees and it's clear. But you know what? Right now, we got more important things to talk about. It's time for us to talk about the secret daily teaching for your life. It's all about a positive mental attitude. You know what? I talk about it over and over and over and over and over again. One of these days, you're going to believe me, and you're going to find your life just turn around. It'll be fantastic. You decide if you're going to be rich or poor, happy or sad, if you're going to be a success or a failure. Probably even sick or healthy. You decide all those things. You do it every morning when you get up. You look in the mirror and say, wow, I'm going to have a fantastic, profitable, productive day, and I'm going to make everybody around me happy today. You decide it. If you do that, it really can happen. Our lesson for today is we may not even realize what our innermost thoughts are, but we can see what we have been thinking on every subject just by looking at what is manifested in our lives. The good news is, what has been done can be undone. What has been created can be recreated. The method is simple. Consciously think and speak about what we want. We will receive confirmation through our feelings that are on track because we feel good. That's exactly what it is. You decide if you're going to be happy, sad, a success, or a failure. What do you want? Just makes sense, doesn't it? Sure. Well, you know what today is? It is March the 3rd, and it is somebody's birthday. Sir, you know what? We say that every day. Every day is somebody's birthday, right? You're not going to get too far when you're talking about those kinds of things. But right now, let's get to it. This is somebody that was born in 1959, a public radio personality and host and producer of the radio and television show This American Life. Happy birthday, Ira Glass. And how about this? Here's somebody that most everybody's heard of. He was born in 1962, college football at the University of Georgia, where he was awarded the Heisman in 1982, inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame in 1999. Happy birthday, Herschel Walker. Yeah, fantastic ball player. And then finally, born in 1982, actress and former model who has appeared in several Hollywood films. Happy birthday, Jessica Biel. Pretty young lady. Yeah. Well, every day we tell you what happened in history. We're going to do the same thing today. So sit down, get comfortable in your favorite chair, and let me tell you what happened on March the 3rd, 1931. Well, the United States officially adopts the Star-Spangled Banner as its national anthem. Wouldn't you have thought that happened a long time before that, like in the 1700s, like 1776? But it wasn't until 1931. Can you imagine? And on this date, in 1938, oil is discovered in Saudi Arabia. Wow. Not only discovered, just bathed in it. And on this date, in 1991, an amateur video captures the beating of Rodney King by Los Angeles police officers. Yeah, can you imagine? And then finally, let me leave you. On March 3rd, 2005, Steve Fawcett becomes the very first person to fly an airplane around the world solo without any stops and without refueling. Wow. Can you imagine that? I actually had the privilege of meeting Steve many, many years ago. That was quite a task, quite an accomplishment. Well, our quote for today comes from E.L. Konigsberg. He says, "Happiness is excitement that has found a settling down place, but there is always a little corner that keeps flapping around." Yeah, isn't that the truth? Absolutely. Well, man, we're running pretty fast here today. We got some time. Let's do some interesting but useless facts. We got plenty of them. Let's do them. You know what? Your fingernail has the exact same ingredients as fly poop. Give that some thought. Did you know the mosquitoes dislike citronella because it irritates their feet? Go figure. And honeybees have a type of hair on their eyes. That's interesting. Didn't know that. There's one for you. The sense of touch. Electrical impulses travel from the skin toward the spinal cord at a rate of up to 425 feet per second. Wow. Can you imagine? You feel it in your fingertips. You feel it in your toes, but you recognize it in your brain. That's where it's got to go. Yeah. Hey, how about this? Did you know that February 17th, 1930 was the very first flight by a cow in an airplane? The milk that was produced by the cow during the flight was put into containers and parachuted over the city of St. Louis, Missouri. Wow. I didn't know that. I don't know why that's important. I could ask a lot of questions about it, but what the heck. Try this on for size. You know that Henry Wadsworth Longfellow, who made John and Priscilla Alden famous in his poem, The Courtship of Miles Standish, was related to both these actual historical personages? Huh. Interesting. We all draw on our own life experiences, don't we? Here's one. A Russian man who wore a beard during the time of Peter the Great had to pay a special tax for having that beard. Do you know that an Arabica coffee tree can produce up to 12 pounds of coffee a year, depending on the soil and the climate. I can't even pronounce it. I don't know how we're going to do that. I'm just going to go to the store and buy my coffee like I always do. I think that's the way to do it. How about this? Did you know that the color of a chili pepper is no indication of its heat? Usually, the smaller, the hotter. Take that one to the bank. Well, let me leave you with this. There are 4 cars and 11 light posts on the back of a $10 bill. All right, go searching, take a look, see if we're right. In the meantime, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. And today's story? Abe Lincoln's story. Yeah, and I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away, folks.
Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And at 4:53 p.m. Pacific time, it's currently 77 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. If you're listening to us in Cleveland, Ohio, 28 degrees and overcast. And if it's Flagstaff, Arizona, 48 degrees and clear. But right now, it's time for us to do our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. Yes, sir. You know what? The American Broadcasting Company calls him the biggest voice in America. He's Paul Harvey, and each week, millions of listeners, viewers, and readers awaited his unraveling of the mysteries of events in the lives of people past and present. Heard on over 1,400 radio stations, seen on 110 television stations, and read in 300 newspapers. The rest of the story has for years been exploring the byways of history with revelations that are intriguing, amusing, and surprising. Well, today's story, the Abe Lincoln story. Now, you thought that you had heard all the Abe Lincoln stories. It is unlikely that you have read this one. When Abraham Lincoln was living in Washington County, he was captured by the Indians. Now, he was working a farm there, and the Indians, angered by the fact that Abe was encroaching on their territory, captured him, made him run between two rows of braves. As Abe ran, the braves beat him with sticks, a humiliation known as running the gauntlet. Of course, you know that Abe survived. You know that he was assassinated many years later. But when he escaped from the Indian camp, he fled to Rockingham County, perhaps because he was genuinely repentant for having settled on Indian land, or perhaps because he was just plain frightened. You know, at any rate, a year or two went by. The nightmare of his experience in Washington County continued to haunt him, to eat away at him, as a matter of fact. The more he thought about it, the more certain he became. The land that he had abandoned was his home, and it had been cowardly to run away. So Abe made up his mind once and for all he would return to Washington County, to that little farm that he had left. He would claim it once again, and this time he would not forsake it. Now, 4 years passed. He split rails and planted crops and harvested them. 4 years, no trouble with the Indians. And then one day, Abe was clearing a patch of forest to open a new field. At the top of its arc, the axe blade gleamed in the brilliant sunlight. The air was clean and fresh, laden with the pleasant aroma of green wood and wildflowers and freedom. No more would he awake at night, fearing the wrath of the Indians. No more would he be consumed in self-doubt. Abe had finally stood up for what he believed. This land was his now. No one was going to take it away from him. But each time Abe's axe chunked into a side of the tree, it obscured another sound. One footstep, followed by another, and another. 100 yards away, drawing closer, a lone Indian brave. Camouflaged in forest-colored buckskin, the Indian crept up carrying a long-barreled firearm of the white man. He had been sent on his mission by his tribe to journey to the Lincoln farm and to kill Abe Lincoln. Abe continued to chop the tree. Stealthily, the brave made his way through the forest, treading on the switches of grass, avoiding the dry twigs which might alert his prey. A sudden rustle in the treetops, a squirrel jumping from one limb to another. Abe glanced up, then back to his work. As Abe raised his axe again, the blade glistened once more. The Indian lowered the barrel of his gun, took aim, and fired. Abe Lincoln felt the sting of the bullet in his back and fell to the ground. He looked up just in time to see an Indian brave disappear into the forest. Only a moment of consciousness was left, and within minutes, Abe Lincoln was dead. Abraham Lincoln was dead, and from a nearby clearing, his 8-year-old son, Thomas, had seen it all. When Thomas grew up, he named his son after his father, and Thomas's son, also named Abraham Lincoln, became the 16th president of the United States. President Abraham Lincoln and his grandfather both had sons named Thomas. Both had wives named Mary. And both were felled by an assassin's bullet. And now you know the rest of the story. Well, on my next show, Jon Matthews and I are going to talk about the conservative politics once again. And John Hanson will be here. John and I will be talking about food and wine and who knows what else. I'm going to continue our tribute to the late, great Paul Harvey and the rest of the story. On the next show, the story is going to be the cabinet in the nursery. You're not going to want to miss that. And now I'm going to ask you to tell all your friends about our show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. They'll be glad you did. You'll be glad you did. And you know what? I'll really be glad you did.
That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza.